Hi, I'm William.
Hi, I'm Joana.
And we are the Dickinsons. So welcome to our video. We've got a little microphone here. This is what this is. We wanted to just give you a little idea of our backstory and to tell you a little bit about us, because you probably maybe don't know who we are, you don't know where we've been, you don't know why we have this lovely farm behind us that we just bought. So we're going to try to explore all of this with you. We're going to get into homesteading, different types of agriculture. We're looking at getting some chickens and some goats and maybe a little tiny cow if someone gets what they're looking for. We've got no idea what we're going to do. This is an adventure and you're coming along to join us. But we thought it'd be really nice to share a little bit about how we got here so that you can really appreciate our journey going forward. So we are the Dickinsons. We're married. How long have we been married?
We are married for 2 years.
Yeah, about 2 years. And how's that been for you?
That's been great, I guess.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Who are you trying to convince, me or them?
No.
Or you? So marriage has been great. We actually met a few years before that, just to set the scene. So we're going to give you a bit of our backstory. So I was disabled. I had a very severe chronic health problem. I was living in the United Kingdom at the time. And what were you doing at this sort of time when I was there?
I had just come back to my parents' house to take a second degree.
A second degree?
Yeah, in international relations. And yeah, I was trying to hit my, how can I say, like, those 3 years before you are 30, you're like, in these 3 years I need to do everything that I can, so when I'm 30 I won't regret anything.
So you're having a little panic, a bit of midlife crisis kind of thing?
It was not like that, it was more like, well...
Am I your midlife crisis?
No, it's more like... I feel like before we used to think like, oh, people that are 30s, they are old and they have everything figured out and life is amazing when you are 30s, And I was like 3 years to reach that, and I was like, how am I going to do all of that in 3 years? So
you were panicking a bit that you didn't have your life together where you wanted it to be.
Yeah, but in a good way, I guess.
And then we met?
Yeah.
How did we meet?
I flew to England.
No, before that, how did we actually meet? This is a good story.
So I used to play this game on the Southeast Asia server, and then they open in Europe. So
this was like a mobile game that we used to play on our phones.
Someone that I know said like, I'm going to change that because the times are better and all of that. Are you coming? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think so.
So for people that don't play video games and they don't know as much about what you're talking about, what you mean is you were playing a video game on a certain server, you swapped over to a European server, and that's where I was playing the game as well. And then we met in that game.
Yeah.
And how did that turn into marriage?
Oh, so basically, it didn't turn into marriage. It was more like...
But it did. We're here. Look where we are. Look, we're in our nice house that we bought. We're married. Look, we got our rings. Go on, show them. Yeah, we're married, so it did.
It was more like, I don't know. I felt like at that moment in my life, I was also very disappointed, So I was like, well, lower expectations, so you don't get frustrated. Just live life one day after the other one, and everyone that I met in the game, in the new server, it was also very nice with me. Maybe because I was the only girl there, I don't know, or very few of them. But I never thought like, oh, I'm going to the game and I'm going to find my Prince Charming, I never thought that. Did you? I did, actually.
Oh, thank you.
But I never thought about that. And even when I flew to meet you for the first time, I feel like I never really thought, oh my God, this is the love of my life, you know, like, oh.
So what were you thinking? So again, for context, I'm disabled. I'm on disability benefits in the United Kingdom. My dad's my full-time carer. I literally can walk about, well, our first date was like, we walked like 100 meters up the road and back, basically. Like we walked around the block. That was basically what we did on the first day.
Yeah.
We did a tiny little walk around. That was the peak of my physical capabilities at that time. So you came to visit me in England when I was in that state, and you weren't expecting to find your Prince Charming. You weren't expecting it to go anywhere. What were you expecting? And I'm actually asking for me because I'm not sure. I'd like to know. What were you expecting?
I was not expecting anything. Like I said to you, like I was not with expectations. It was like, okay, so this guy is taking all of my time, of my my mind and my heart. Aww. Let's see how he is. Like, let's really see like his true colors, I guess. And
And what did you think?
And I feel like it's very hard to not see your true colors when you are so debilitated.
True.
So
it kind of takes all those layers away.
So basically, I saw like your most raw version, you know, and it's like, well, there are some things that I appreciated how raw you are, you know. I really appreciate, like, I feel like we all need to wear this mask and this facade to fit in the society, and you are just like this, you know, like you are upfront, you are honest, you are not that I'm not honest, but it's like it's just different, you know. You deal well with the people saying, looking at you, you know, because if you need to lay down on the floor, you are going to lay down on the floor. And I'm like,
and I did many times, didn't I?
And it's like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. People is looking, you know. So
that's one thing having a severe chronic health problem will do for you, is you learn how to put your needs first. So there's a silver lining in all of that. So you came to meet me in England, then you came to meet me 2 or 3 more times, and then the plan was that she was going to come and study in England, and then you were going to get like a visa and you were going to come and stay over here. And then, obviously, because I still wasn't very healthy, and then I thought, why would she come over here to live in England when I could go and live over there in Portugal? Because obviously she's Portuguese, if you can't see that yet. So I jumped. I just took the leap and I jumped, and it was really, really difficult in the beginning because literally at that time my dad was still my carer, and you kind of took over that care role, and there was a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility on you, and you were still working at Lidl, so you were working in a supermarket, and I think it was pretty close to full time. You spread it out in a bit of a different way. You worked a lot of weekends and stuff, but you ended up working a lot of hours. It was like at least 30 hours. I think closer to...
At that time I was doing 38 hours. Yeah.
So she was working a lot and taking care of me. And this is when we actually launched our coaching business. So I was still not in the best health, but I realized I had a gift and I could help people with chronic health problems. And I'd already made so much progress up to that point. And just kind of to give you context, this is going from literally like disabled to I was able to move around a bit more. I was figuring out my diet. I was starting to be able to take care of myself. I still struggled with like going to the supermarket and being able to fulfill all of my roles, but I was really kind of getting back on my feet. And you really played a big role in the years that followed after we moved in together, because you provided me a completely different living environment that was different from anything I'd really experienced in my life. And the relationship that we've built, it's actually been quite tricky because we practice polarized principles. So we try to orient ourselves towards a polarized relationship. And what we started with was literally the opposite. It was the complete opposite. It couldn't have been more reversed. You were like full in the masculine energy. You were the carer. You were carrying all the weight and all the responsibilities, and you still tend to do that even to this day, but you're doing a really good job of slowly learning how to let go of that and let me take some of it. And I'm also doing a good job of learning how to pick it up. But so anyway, we moved in together. We stayed in Portugal for...
we stayed in Portugal for 3 years.
But we had a lot of traveling in amongst there as well, no?
Not in those 3 years, I don't think so. Yeah, we went to Lisbon, Sintra and those things, but not that much. We traveled after we did.
Should we fast forward a bit to tell them about that? Because that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So we basically bought into this digital nomad lifestyle, and we were completely independent. So we're running our own business, not tied anywhere. So eventually the business got so it was working so well that I said to Joana, you should quit your job at Lidl and you should try to pursue your passion, which at the time was sort of more like graphic design, social media management, branding, brand strategy, that sort of stuff. What was that experience like for you, trying to do that transition from basically having only worked like more of a classic 9-to-5 role to trying entrepreneurship for the first time? How was that?
It was difficult, I would say, because for example, I feel like when you started with me almost there already doing something for you, with you, you know.
What do you mean?
Like anything that you would need, you know, you would have someone to discuss with or get a feedback, or I need I don't know, like a sales page or something, you know, someone would do for you. The thing is, I was basically on my own and trying as well to market myself in my own language, so it was even harder because I couldn't count with you to help me.
Oh yeah, you were selling in a Portuguese audience, so you were branding with Portuguese, you were trying to target Portuguese people. Was that a business decision, or was that more because you were more comfortable in that language?
I think it was what I felt like it was right to, and I don't want to like to be I don't know, how can I say, like be the victim, you know, but it is difficult. And who thrives in this field, in Portugal at least, or even in other countries, I believe, you really need to be like extrovert, or at least put yourself out, you know, and this is something that I really struggle.
And look at you now on camera recording a video. Good for you, eh? Good for you.
Yeah. Even though it's hard, you know, so what I'm saying is it was difficult to launch something for myself. I made some money, not enough to cover bills or something, just basically enough to pay taxes and survive, I guess.
Did you grow a lot as a consequence of doing it?
I started admiring more the people that actually do this, because it's not just like you have a phone and you go, you know. It takes a lot from you, and there are days that they are great, there are other days that you suffer, you know, because you have all the voices in your head. Not that I'm a psychopath or something, but you have all the voices in your head that say like you are garbage and
you're not good enough, you can't do it.
There are better people than you, and it even hurts you more when you start having like people owing you money, you know, and you need to start running behind them like, hey, give me the money, you know, and that doesn't feel good for me, you know. That doesn't make me feel like I'm appreciated, that my work is recognized, or so. Yeah.
Well, we actually had quite an interesting transition in that a lot of the skills that Joana really has and she really excels in were things that I needed help with in running my business, and areas where she was weak in her business were areas that I actually excel. So I'm really extrovert. If you can't tell, I'm really extrovert. I feel like I do really well on camera. I feel quite comfortable and confident, and I didn't always feel this way. You know, I watched my first video that I ever recorded, and I was so shy, and you know, and it's a skill that you develop, and I'm hoping that we're going to see Joana open up like a beautiful flower over the time of doing this channel. I'm sure we will, because I know what it's like. But we kind of like yin and yang, we fit together really perfectly in a business environment, and it just made sense for us to start like kind of collaborating and working together. So I really work a lot more on the front end, and she was kind of the hamster running in the background, making everything work. You know, that's really how I quite accurately see it. So we ended up working together, and at this point all of our income was coming digitally, so we thought, okay, we can be digital nomads. So why are we still here in Portugal? let's go. And our first big adventure was so we had quite a stable, long-term rental, and we were like, do we renew it or do we go? When are we going to do it? And it never felt like the right time. And it never does, it never feels like a good time to take all of the stuff that you've bought, put it in storage, sell all of the rest of the stuff that's not going in storage, and put everything of your whole life in, 2 suitcases? One big suitcase each, and fly to the other side of the world. There's never a good time to do that.
Actually, it was funny because it was 3, but then we saw how much they were charging from England to Thailand, and we thought, no, we're not paying 600 euros for an extra bag, so we are not bringing it.
So we ended up putting that extra one in storage and just trying to survive on 2 instead.
Yeah, we left with none, actually.
Yeah. So we left, and our destination, like the place that we chose to go, do you want to tell them?
Just Thailand.
We went to Thailand. So we went to Thailand. I can actually remember we arrived in Bangkok, and at this point I didn't have any food sensitivities anymore. So when I was really, really sick, I had a really restricted diet for a really long time period, and at this point I could eat basically everything. And I remember we arrived in the hotel. First of all, we stepped out of the plane, and it was like this wet layer of heat just saturated your whole body, and we were like, oh god. And it was the middle of the night. Then we arrived at the hotel that was we got one that was really close to the airport to start, and we ordered some, what was it called? Tom yum.
Yeah.
So it's basically like this kind of spicy, almost like soup that you're supposed to get rice, and you kind of dip the rice in it and then eat the rice with the flavor, and then you eat the things out of it. But there's lots of things in there that you don't eat, like chunks of ginger, and what's that other root thing that they have that's specific to that?
I think lemongrass.
Yeah, they have lemongrass, and they have another root that's like ginger. So it was really nice, but it was so spicy. I had diarrhea for 4 days after that. It was probably one of the spiciest things I'd ever had. But, well, you learn by doing, basically. So then we went into Bangkok, into the city. And I can remember we were thinking, this is not the right place for us. What have we done? How are we going to make this work? And we were just thinking, it's noisy, it's polluted. This is not where I imagined we're going to be. I think I'm kind of echoing your sentiment as well. You were feeling, we actually talked about this, and we were like, oh my god, what have we done? But our long-term plan was actually to head up north in Thailand to a place called Chiang Mai. And that's where everything really changed, didn't it?
Yeah. I think it was actually what we were looking for, the European comfort. I cannot say that it was Thailand prices, because we tried to go for one with Thailand prices and it didn't end up well. So
we stayed for about 10 days, didn't we? And then we had to move to a different apartment because it didn't have a stove, wasn't very well located or clean. It just wasn't really what we wanted.
The thing is, people on the internet, they picture everything very pink and very nice and everything is fine, and you can just pay 200 euros or 400 euros and you have an amazing accommodation. But it always comes to, what do you want to leave behind? What do you want to sacrifice? So, and to be honest, my comfort and my hygiene, I don't really like to sacrifice, and my security. So
we kind of had a bit of a fight about it initially, because we were a bit like, but we're trying to come here to save money and do the digital nomad thing, we have to conserve. But then we ended up kind of splashing out a little bit and trying.
I don't see that as a splashing. I saw
at the time it definitely was.
I saw more like you need to do some sacrifices, okay? And we needed to sacrifice, and you have your values and I have my values. And I would say that comfort, security and hygiene for me were non-negotiable. And living to survive, I feel like I just can't do it, you know? And maybe I'm arrogant even saying that, you know? But I just felt like I was betrayed by every single digital nomad that publish video that you can, I don't know,
live in Thailand for like 200 euros a month. It's
Yeah.
just not realistic. You can't. Not if you want a decent quality of living, not a good standard of life.
If you want like good food, if you want your amenities, if you want to live well, you know. And I'm not saying about parties or nothing like that, because we are not people to
No, we're not.
party. No, we don't even drink alcohol, nothing like that. So I think that it all comes to what you want to sacrifice, you know. And for us, we didn't want to sacrifice the things that we as Europeans conquered, I guess. So
we ended up sacrificing money instead, and we paid approximately 3 times more
yeah.
for a different condominium. And we actually stayed in a place called the Astra Sky River condominium, and it was actually one of the best decisions we ever made. It was like living in a palace. It was the apartment itself was like ultra modern. It was pretty small. A lot of the apartments in Thailand are pretty small, but there's this big community space on the roof, and it was like this big 200 meter long swimming pool with a like infinity style pool with a huge view of the mountains in the background, because Chiang Mai is up in the mountains. And I can remember when we went in that pool and I just like saw the mountain and everything, and I was like, oh my god, we've made it, like this is it. And considering that to get that kind of thing in Europe or the United States, you'd be paying probably 5 to 10 times more, and we were getting it at a relatively less cost. It was like, wow, now I see why everybody likes to come to Thailand. This is kind of what's more accessible in this area. And it had a gym, it had a sauna, a co-working space, a lot more security, it was a lot cleaner, and it was really just what we were looking for. So we spent 6 months there. The first time around. There's a spoiler for later. And it was one of the best experiences that we ever had. And we were starting to, at that stage, we really had the rose tinted glasses, in that we were just loving it. We were just really enjoying ourselves. But there was this kind of resentment that began to build where, and this continued to build the whole time we did the digital nomad lifestyle, which was that we wanted to have comfort, and we wanted to have like security in our food, and we wanted to have, like, for example, we're just buying plastic bottled water all the time, or we would have to be cooking out of Teflon pans, or we'd be having to like in Thailand, the culture is very much that it's way more affordable to just order food. So you get Grab, which is like an app like Uber Eats, but you can get a dish delivered to your house for $2 or $1 or less.
And it comes in a plastic as well.
Yeah.
Like if you ordered a soup or rice or anything, it comes in a plastic bag.
It's all in plastic bags, even
and
soup.
Imagine like it's a plastic bag with hot food, and everything is plastic.
And there's a lot of soy, a lot of MSG. It's not, if you're really health oriented, it's not really very feasible. And there are healthy options, but obviously you pay for them, and
even then you cannot even say like they are the best, because we used to go to some nice places with nice food, but you don't eat like even like making 3 meals out, you can never do like your protein intake, for example, for the day.
It's very hard to get protein there, like very little beef or
and
even chicken.
We tried before. We tried like the last time we went there. That was the first year, and then we went the second year there. We try actually to cook more at home and all of that, but even then it was really hard work. Because at that moment I was doing carnivore, or trying to do carnivore, but like I remember of buying from a very expensive place beef and minced beef,
yeah.
And it was like full of tendons and bones
and cartilage. It was really not nice.
It was really bad, you know, like.
And it was so expensive for that quality as well.
And then I used to ask like to people like, where do you buy your food? Is it a good place? And all of that. And they all said, oh yeah, go to this place, and it's amazing. And all the experiences I had were bad.
It was really bad. Yeah. Overall, that was the biggest problem, wasn't it? having good, reliable access to to food and drinks and stuff. I mean, it was nice to get like juice. You get fresh juice delivered to your apartment. It was amazing. Fresh coconut water was amazing.
They say like if you are a fructarian,
frugivore. It's the best place to go, especially
and vegan. You know, it's the best place for you to go.
If you eat animal products, or especially if you're trying to do carnivore, not a very good match. So we actually went twice, but in between that, we travelled around a little bit. We spent a month in Greece.
Yeah.
Where else did we travel around a little bit too? We spent some time in England as well.
We spent some time in England. We spent some time in the Canary Islands.
Yeah, we spent some time in Las Palmas.
We spent some time in Germany as well.
In Germany we stayed with your sister. So we travelled around a lot, and we really kind of reaped the benefits of not being location dependent. We went to a lot of different places.
We did other places as well, like Singapore, Turkey, India. What else did we do?
We travelled around to a lot. We saw a lot of the world, and considering when I moved over to Portugal, that was the first time I ever actually left the UK. The explosion in travel has been amazing. It's been really healing, and it's also been very helpful in understanding cultures. And like, I was a very uncultured person, and probably to an average standard I still am, but I know a lot more about the world. Like going to India, that's a culture shock. Thailand, it's a different world over there, you know. I find it so funny, you know, we think over here, we're like, us doing our recycling is really making any difference, when the amount of plastic that you see them using there is insane. But you'll only know when you really go there and you actually experience it yourself. So we traveled around a lot, but we just felt like we wanted to settle down somewhere. We wanted to do the homesteading thing, you know. And it's kind of like we were jumping from one lifestyle that got sold to us, you know. Everyone's like, you should be digital nomad, be location independent, and then everyone's like, no, you should do a homestead, you know, get the chickens, grow the garden, you know. And we kind of felt like we were being pulled towards this because of all of the things that we weren't enjoying about our digital nomad lifestyle. But we're actually kind of fortunate in a way, because we're still nomadic in our work schedule. So we are very flexible. Like, we work our own hours. We can work from a coffee shop. We can work from home. So we were a bit more flexible in where we wanted to choose to settle down. How do you feel about the idea of swapping and going from location independence and being a digital nomad to now being in a fixed location?
I would say that I lived what I needed to leave.
You got what you needed to get from those experiences.
All the experience that I was craving from traveling, you know. Traveling is really a big part of my life. I feel like I got everything I needed, and it just reached a moment that I just wanted to settle down.
You just needed something else, right?
Yeah, and especially because I felt like my health was getting a big hit, you know, and I felt like powerless trying to keep traveling and keep improving my health. So I kind of needed to choose. And when you feel pulled to really settle down, you know, like, I don't know how to even say it, but it's like, settle down, have your own pressure cooker, have your own set of pans, you know, like your own bedding.
A pressure washer?
Yeah, a pressure washer. It just feels different, you know. And maybe now people look like, oh, but Joana was always like traveling, you know, or William and Joana were always traveling, and then I never settle. And look at them now, they bought a house with a farm and all of that. Is like,
they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they want.
They went from one place to another. The thing is, again, I feel like our abilities, they're very complementary.
Yeah.
So what I don't know, I know that you are going to know. What you don't know, you know that probably I will figure it out.
Have you been right about that with the house so far, with all the things that you need to be able to do when you buy a house? Have I been showing up?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Good enough?
You have, yeah. Yeah.
And you've been doing good.
Can't complain.
The beef stew that we just had before we did this recording, delicious. Cooked in a pressure cooker with no Teflon, with no anti-stick coating. We've got all of our wooden utensils and our stainless steel, and it's just so good, isn't it? It's very satisfying.
Yeah, it is.
So that kind of brings you up to date with where we're at. So just to give you a bit of a more detail about specifically now. So we bought a homestead. So this is like a fairly large house. I would say fairly large is a good description. How many bedrooms is that? 4?
On the top floor we have 5 rooms.
5 rooms. Count,
yeah. With 2 washrooms, and on the bottom we have another 2 rooms with another washroom and a big hall and the garage.
So we have a lot of renovation plans because it looks like the house was designed to house 2 families, like one on the top floor, one on the bottom floor. Like there's 2 kitchens, and we want to make it like a very large, like nice family house. We want to be able to have a nice environment for kids when we decide to have kids. We want to really make it our home. You know, we're really trying to claim it. But we were also really looking for a place that had some land, and it was a little bit challenging because I won't get into the technical details, but because of the way that buying a house works here in Portugal and the different, complicated, it was very difficult for us to find a property that was actually suitable that we would be able to get. And we ended up finding this. This was like maybe the 3rd house that we tried to close on.
Yeah.
So we kept trying to close at lower price ranges, and they just kept falling through, or they just weren't right, and we eventually managed to get this one. And it was a very drawn out process. It ended up taking us 6, 7, 8 months.
The whole process about
this
buying
house specifically.
This house specifically, no. We visit this house on 22nd April, and we just signed the deed on 1st August. So it was not 6 months, but it was like 3, 4 very suffered ones, because it was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of games in the,
And we were living in Airbnbs at the time, and in Portugal, the Airbnbs over the winter, they're much more affordable. When it comes to summer, they triple in price, and it's really hard to find acceptable living conditions. If you want to rent some moldy place in a very poorly located area, you can do that. There's plenty of them, but finding something that's actually like up to some decent standards is quite challenging at a reasonable price. We're talking upwards of like 4.5k a month over the summer, like in Porto on the coast. Is very, very expensive in my opinion. So we ended up closing, and the house is completely empty, so no furniture, nothing. The land requires a lot of work. We've already done a lot of pruning on trees. We've got some lemons growing just here that you can't see. We harvested a couple of squashes from the garden. We've got big plans for this property. I won't go into too many details, but I'll get Joana to give you maybe 2 or 3 teasers of a couple of things that you think we're going to be doing.
So we want to make I would say that the big change in the house itself is changing the main entrance. Instead of using the entrance that we are now using, we want to use a second one where the social part will be completely separate from the resting part. I would say that the main garden that we have, where is the fruit trees,
which is just here.
We plan to have less fruit trees, but the trees that we really want, and some space for the kids to be.
We want to have a nice lawn there.
Yeah. We also want to have a pool.
Joanna's sold on the idea of having a pool. I don't know where we're going to fit it, but if she wants it, we're going to find a way to make it work. So it's not like we don't have the space, but we're on one of the more difficult things about our property is it's on quite a steep slope. So it's basically split into terraces, and this is what happens when you buy inland in Portugal. It's in the mountains, so they kind of split the land into these like big splits of terraces, and we've got a nice terrace up here, which is where we're at. This is like the kind of the top of the property. Actually, the road is one terrace up in that direction, but the rest of our property goes down in this direction, and we've got, to our right, we've got a shed and then a big terrace that drops, and then another little terrace, and then another one that drops, and then another one and another one that drops. If we were going to have a pool, we kind of need to have it up here because it needs to be close to the house. So I don't know how we're going to figure that out.
Oh, we just cut some trees and we arranged and we feed
Joana has a very bad habit of deciding what she wants before she assesses what the property is going to look like. She's like, I'll just find a way to bend the world to be exactly what I want it to be.
The truth is, it always works, doesn't it?
Yeah, we always find a way to make it work, don't we?
So it's not like a...
She can dream it and I'll make it happen.
Good.
And we're also planning on doing just basic homesteading stuff, you know. The
raised beds, chickens, Highland cow.
Excuse me? Raised beds and chickens for sure. Highland cow, I don't know if we have the land for it, but
And
probably goats. Probably we'll be seeing. We're going to do a lot of food preparation, a lot of
3,000
preservation.
meters square is a lot of land for a cow.
I know, but they really need grass and pasture, and we just
okay.
don't really have pasture. We have
You can
weeds.
grow it for them.
You heard it here first. So you never know. Maybe I'll be making a video in a year. We bought a Highland cow. Wouldn't that be funny? I wouldn't be surprised if she has her way.
A few goats as well. I don't know. I always thought about having a pig called Bacon for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's my humor.
I think that's a good idea.
But
What about calling one sausage as well? Bacon and sausage. That'd be good, no?
yeah. But then I saw like the smell, and I'm a bit sensitive to smells, and
A little bit sensitive to smells is an understatement. If you'd have seen her reaction trying to clear out the animal pens that we have here, the edge of violent vomiting was where she reached before she left.
so that is putting everything a bit on hold, I guess.
But we all know that I'm the one that's going to be cleaning it all out anyway, so it's not really that much of a problem.
Well, the question is if you are going to clean properly.
Of course I will.
Okay.
So yeah, we have a lot planned. We've got raised beds in the coming year. I'm imagining raised beds, chickens, lots of renovation stuff. Having the house is really nice because it's provided stability, so it's enabled us to really focus more on the business. You know, like this is basically a second channel that we're doing here. So we've got our main channel, William Dickinson, where we talk about gut health. I talk about my healing journey, how I reversed my chronic health problems, and the coaching business that we've built there. And this is kind of a second channel where we wanted to kind of show you like what's happening in the background, because one thing I think is really important is, especially as a practitioner, you can sometimes get put on a pedestal. You know, people think like, wow, look at him up there. I'm literally just a normal person. We're just people. We're just normal people. And we're not?
Yeah.
Me or you?
I never put myself even like more than a person.
No, I'm not saying I am, but sometimes, you know, when you help people, they're like, whoa, you know everything, you figured it all out. I haven't. I figured some things out. I'm good at my job, but
I feel so lost.
yeah, so do I. So this is why we made the channel, so you can see we're real people. This is what we're trying to do with our life, and I like teaching. I like sharing about what's going on, and I think we've got a very unique opportunity, a very unique perspective, and I want to use us having this opportunity to share with you and to teach you, and for you to come along and teach us as well, because honestly, we don't know what the hell we're doing.
No, we just have neighbors that saying to us what we need to do. and we're like, no, we don't want to do that.
Although in our first attempt at making hot compost, we did manage to get it to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about, I think, 60 degrees Celsius, 120 Fahrenheit, which is pretty good for a first try, if you ask me. So maybe we do know what we're doing, but there's not much.
We also did some like cardboard and wood chips on top, so we kind of know.
We know what we're doing. There's not much you can't figure out with YouTube videos and ChatGPT nowadays. So there are two professors. Yeah. So just as we wrap things up, I wanted to ask Joana a question and get her to ask me a question.
Oh, can I just say something?
Sure.
I would also say that as I discovered that most of the channels from digital nomads, they romanticize everything and they make everything looks very nice and very easy, and it's 100% fun and all pink, you know. I discovered that because I live that, And right now I'm feeling like the homestead channels also tend to romanticize everything.
Yeah.
And you need to put a lot of money into it, you know.
And a lot of work.
Like tools are not cheap. We basically we work, we do our work for our own company, and then when we finish, we come out and work until the light is gone. So if you ever feel like, oh, you want to do this because it's amazing, because it's so cute, really evaluate if you really want to put that, because it requires you to sacrifice something, and maybe it will make us sacrifice, I don't know, maybe for future travels or something, you know, because this is going to be a huge investment of money investment. But I feel like we are okay with that. And maybe for someone that comes and buys and gets it, maybe he's thinking like, oh, I'm going to have my raised beds and butterflies and bees and all of these, and everything is going to be perfect. And it's not.
It's very hard, and it's a lot of work and a lot of money.
Yeah.
Trying to be self-sufficient is a myth, and trying to do this profitably is very hard. Sure, you could grow some staple crops like potatoes and you could probably save some money, or onions and things like that, but it's only gonna help a little bit, you know. It is a dream, really. So if you're really getting into it, it's really important that you have a real perspective on it, and that's one of the things I really want to share. I don't know if I think probably because you're saying it, you agree with me, but I really want to give you guys watching a real authentic experience where you're going to see the mess that we have, you're going to see the failed projects, you're going to see the money that's just coming out of our ears, that it's just costing us so much to do all these things. There is a million unfinished projects. I mean, just to give you an example, I mean, look, what do you see? You see that big pile of leaves back there? They need to be shredded. To the side, you see those tires? They need to be taken to the tip or repurposed for something. If we'd have recorded this video that we're recording right now yesterday, this whole pathway was just a mess. It was covered in leaves, like the sticks back there. There was 100 times more than that just strewn out all over here. And that's why we wanted to do the video here today, because we cleaned it up for you. We made it look really nice. And if I angled the camera in any other way, there would just be a disaster. There's a hose pipe, there's branches chopped, we bought a strimmer. I've cut half the lawn. The other half is still there because the strimmer broke, so we need to take it to the shop. We've got unpruned fruit trees. We've got clothes washing and drying. It's a big work in progress. It's a big mess, and we want to show you that because that's what's really happening.
Yeah, that's it.
You agree?
Yeah. Even though I have very low tolerance for mess and for showing mess, but yeah.
It's going to be a good lesson for you.
Within the limits, I think we can also share what's going on inside. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to ask Joana a question about our journey so far. She's going to ask me one that she's thinking about.
Am I?
And the goal of this question is to try to get her to open up a little bit so you can feel the quality of her, so you can understand who she is a bit more as a person. So that's my goal, but we'll see. So, if you reflect back, since we've been together, or since we met, it's a two-part question. What is an aspect of yourself that you feel like you've grown and that you've developed the most into a place that you're actually really impressed with where you've been and where you are now? And I'll answer that and I'll give you a second one.
Oh my God. So it comes to mind.
That's her thinking face.
Adaptability, I guess. However, I always felt like I was very easygoing and very. I would adapt very easily to different circumstances. But I feel like I develop even more. You know, like especially with mess, I have very low tolerance for mess, for dirty dishes, for dirty floors, and. When you are so tired, you just reach a point that you need to shoot or you go to bed better, or you go to shower so you can go to bed, or you clean the floor so you can shower and you go to bed. So I would say that the adaptability, but I also would say patience. I feel like I am developing a certain level of patience that I never thought that I could.
Is that because of me?
Yeah, and circumstances, because it's like I always when I think about the project, I always think about the project in terms of days, weeks, or months. And when something takes me more than weeks or than a few months, it just feels like I'm trapped, and I will never leave that situation. And this is something that I shouldn't have done. And yeah, so I think I've been developing that.
Okay. And the second part is, what part of yourself do you feel like you want to develop more now that you never even knew existed up until your current version of who you are now?
Oh my God. Well, I never thought that I would even be dirty, like putting dirt in my hands, right?
Yeah, I can remember when we first started doing gardening, she had her gardening gloves on for everything. Anytime we were touching anything with dirt, she was like, where's the gloves, where's the gloves? And now, she would have even had her gloves being out here in the garden.
No, I still use them, and I use them all the time for the gardening. What actually, like, for example, makes me very I don't know how to explain it, but like I use Crocs to do the gardening.
Show them the Crocs. These are mine.
Wow.
Let's get a leg up.
And I use socks,
Crocs and socks.
Yeah.
That should be the name of our channel, not Dickinsons, Crocs and Socks.
And and as soon as I start feeling like dirt coming in, I start getting like,
Wouldn't you say that that's a little bit the same as the first thing, though? It's about your tolerance for incompletion and perfection, and
No, I don't think so.
it's a bit the same.
Well, I like to look clean, I like to look clean. I like to
To
look.
feel clean, I think, is even more important for you.
Yeah. So everything that makes me feel like I'm not clean or I don't look clean, I don't know.
Okay. And do you have your question for me? You take and you interview me.
Okay. So William Dickinson. 5 years ago, when you moved to Portugal, did you ever thought to buy a second that you would buy land and you would be planning to do a homestead?
I could have seen it happening. Yeah.
Even though you were with all the fatigue, with...
I probably couldn't have done it in the dimension that I'm doing it now, like with the amount of work, but it's always, maybe I had more of a romanticized dream of it in the back of my mind, but the idea of like having more, I don't like the idea of pushing like the self-sufficiency thing, because I don't think that you can really truly be self-sufficient, and it's actually a big dream. But being more sufficient, having more reliable food, growing your own food, because you get more nutrition in it, and doing things like, I know it probably sounds really ridiculous, but for me, making compost is like one of the funnest things in the world. I love it. Like getting the right ratios and the correct ingredients, and like I think it partly comes from my work that I do, where I'm working on building the gut microbiome and building the terrain, or the health of the microflora, like the bacteria in the gut. It's literally like the same skill set. I'm just doing it in soil instead for the health of the plants. So it's like the flora for the roots of the plants. So it's almost like the same thing. And a lot of the skills that I have apply, and it makes me kind of like really good at it. Almost, I wouldn't say effortlessly, but almost like instinctually. It's like the skill set works. So I don't know if that's a roundabout way of answering your question, but yeah, I never could have dreamed that it would happened so smoothly, even though as bumpy as it was, overall very smooth, and how all of the skills that I developed in completely other areas of my life would apply to this and be so fundamentally helpful.
I have one very tricky question now. Tell me one thing that you regret since you signed the deed of this house, and one thing that you cherish since you signed the deed.
That's a good question. We'll do good questions. So the thing I probably regret the most is the fact that we didn't haggle on the price at all. Because we were in a really tricky spot at this time and feeling like we were literally at the point, we had this conversation, we sat down and we said, look, if we don't close on this house, we're going to go into a long-term rental or we're going to go traveling again. So we really were at a point where we were like, make or break. It's like, it's this or we're done. And that was really challenging. So we didn't really want to do anything to jeopardize the deal. So we ended up closing without really haggling on the price at all. And now since moving here, we've found like they left a lot of mess. There's a lot of like the trees aren't in the best condition and they're going to need a lot of care, a lot of pruning. The house needs a new roof, which is going to be like 20k, which we could have haggled down on the price probably, you know, but we didn't. We should have done more, but we were at the point where we were so burnt out, and the reason we want this in our life is because we're burnt out and we want our environment to pour into us instead of us pouring into everything. So it happened, but that's probably my biggest regret, because I reckon we probably could have got the price down maybe 10%, maybe not, but maybe, but we didn't even try. You know, you don't try, you never will. So I kind of regret that. Thing I cherish, my compost pile. No, I would say it has to be the change I've seen in you.
Why?
Because you're, in the kindest and least critical way, you're very uptight, you're very perfectionist, and your standards are so high they're beyond the point of healthy most of the time. And it's bad for your health. It's hard for me. You know, with my health history as well, it makes me push myself really hard as well. It's not necessarily a bad thing because it fuels a lot of growth, but it definitely needs tempering. And I've seen more change in that sort of behavior in you since we've been here than in your whole journey combined.
Wow.
So it's big change.
1 month, such a big change.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's nearly 2 months. And it's the stress of getting it as well. But yeah, that's how it's that. It's you. So, if you have any questions for us, we tried to open ourselves up a little bit, but if you have any questions for us, leave us a comment. And if you're interested in seeing us make loads of mistakes and create lots of problems that we then have to go back and resolve, if you're interested in seeing we literally call ourselves like, we're like the city folk and we're in the village and we feel like everyone's laughing at us because we don't have any idea what we're actually doing. But I think we know what we're doing so well. We're just going to show everybody. I
think that for another video we should actually record us telling like where people come and say, like they come to our door and say like, oh look, I am this person and I think you should do this.
And then you should do this, and I think you should buy a new roof, and I think you should buy this system, and I think you should plant some cabbages for Christmas, and I think you should do this with your grapes, and I think you should do that with your grapes. Everyone's telling us what to do, but no one's here to actually help us do it. So if you've got any video ideas, if you've got any things that you want to see, if you've got any questions you want to ask us, make sure you leave us a comment. And if you want to follow along with our journey, I have so many plans, you know. I don't want to give you too many ideas, but I want to have a 24/7 live stream for the chickens. So you can tune in and watch the chickens in their hutch at any given time. You can donate a little bit of money and it pays for them to get some snacks. I don't know if we're actually ever going to do it, but I imagine in my mind, and it sounds really fun. All the different animals, we're definitely going to have chickens. We're probably going to have goats. We're probably going to have ducks. We're going to do raised beds. We're going to do no dig style gardening.
We are going to have a dog.
We're going to have a dog, and we're going to have some cats. A cat at least.
A cat.
Yeah. She wants a British short hair because my hair's too long. I'm not a British short hair anymore, so she wants a really British short hair.
Yeah, it would be nice to have a British short head. No, short hair.
And we're going to do lots of renovations and stuff, and we're going to evolve along the journey as well. So if you want to follow along with us, make sure you drop us a subscription and leave us comments, questions, anything. if you made it to this point, leave us an emoji that best describes what this year has been like for you, and write us a little story and explain it to us. If I was going to leave an emoji, I'd leave a house, little house emoji, because this says it all. Like, we wouldn't be doing this video, we wouldn't be where we're at if we didn't get this house. So for me, it's a house. For you, it's a house? Yeah. So leave us an emoji and let us know what's this season of your life like. And if you want to just leave the emoji and that's it, then do that. But if you'd like to share a little bit about it, we'd really love to hear as well. So that's everything for today's video. Take care.
See you.
We'll see you soon. Bye bye.
See you.